Okay, my biggest tip here is you can smash the structure part of this question in the first sentence of your response. This one works every time, so get yourself into the habit of it. Your teachers are not going to tell you any different. We have all agreed to tell you these exact same things. Here's how to smash it. Have a look at what you've been underlining. Fingers crossed, in that paragraph you have underlined something at the beginning, something in the middle-ish, and something towards the end. Okay, have a look at those things now and make a judgment. Okay, so the threat starts with, what did it start with? Moves to, what sort of threat is there in the middle? So it moves to in the middle and ends with the threat of. Okay, so I haven't looked at this. I haven't marked it up because I want to go through this with you guys live. But having a quick look, I can see that very, very near the beginning, there's the babbling voice, still babbling away, that it's like, oh, it's in my ears all the time. Okay, so it starts with the threat that might be coming from the TV. I'm not quite sure that's right, but we're going to put it anyway. In the middle, let's have a look. How is he threatened in the middle? Oh, there's some thought police. Oh, goodness me. If the police could hear my thoughts, I would be arrested right now. And probably all of us would be at some point in the day, because we all have thoughts that are unguarded. Our head's private. So by the middle, there is the threat of being arrested for your thoughts. And by the end, I can see here that every movement is scrutinised. The threat is that he's watched all of the time, which must be oppressive. I have done my first sentence and I have within that addressed structure. If I didn't address structure again, it would not matter. There are ways to make it stronger, but I've done it, haven't I? Okay, right. So, as I did last time, I'm just going to talk you through where I thought the threats were. Okay, I'm not going to be slow about it because you know that what I'm doing is I'm scanning through, showing you what happens in my head in the exam, the words that come to my head, the questions that I ask myself, and just a little bit about what I write on the paper. And if I can, some subject terms as I go along. Okay, right, so behind Winston's back, the voice from the television screen was still babbling away about pig iron and the overfulfillment of the 9th 3-year plan. Okay, there's something there that sounds boring. It's a threat to your mental health, isn't it, when things are boring? Okay, so still babbling away, I underline it, and my suggestion is mental health, question mark. Okay, I move on. The telescreen received and transmitted simultaneously. Oh my goodness. So not only does it transmit voices, but also it can hear what I'm saying. Okay, now none of us want to be heard all the time, so that sounds like a threat to me. Okay, certainly a threat to his privacy. Okay, so I'm going to put threat to privacy, underline, move on. Any sound that Winston made, any sound that he made, oh, I'm going to underline that. It's a further detail, any sound. Okay, it can hear everything above the level of a very low whisper would be picked up by it. Moreover, so long as he remained within the field of vision which the metal plaque commanded, he could be seen as well as heard. Oh my goodness, so he's got no privacy. Even his body is being watched all the time. That sounds very oppressive to me, very intrusive, oppressive, intrusive, lack of privacy, threat to your mental health. You know, there's some big critical judgments that you can be sharing with your teachers. Okay. There was, of course, no way of knowing whether you were being watched. Is that worse? I think that sounds worse, that you never know. You know, it's a bit like the security cameras in town, that they're on all the time and you must appear on them from time to time, but the man's watching kind of 28 screens. He ain't going to be watching you all the time. However, if I'm worried about getting into trouble for anything that I do, and I don't know whether it was seen or not, then that's anxiety and worry, isn't it? Did they see that? Did they not? There's no way of knowing. They'll just come round and arrest me. That sounds like a lot of worry and concern to me. So worry, concern, anxiety are your keywords there. Okay, notice how I'm using my general knowledge and using what it is like to be human to understand threat. That is absolutely crucially important. You are a human being, and that will help you answer the question. Okay, let's move on. How often or on what system the thought police plugged in on any individual wire was guesswork. So uncertainty. Okay, guesswork suggests that there's a huge amount of uncertainty that he lives with. Hey, I'm recording this in a pandemic. We've been locked down. We've had loads of uncertainty. How has that made us feel? Okay, that's made all of us at some point really wobble with our mental health, to be frightened. Okay, so again, just use what you know. Thought police, goodness me, capital letters as well, so it's a proper noun. So this is an organisation and they police thoughts. That just sounds horrific. Okay, so how horrific to have your thoughts listened to. It was even conceivable, so there was a possibility, that's how I read that in my head, that they watched everybody all the time. Okay, so what's worse, not knowing when you were being watched or watched all the time? It's kind of the what's the difference between those two horrors? It's both threatening, isn't it? So it's a threat to him physically, that the police could come around, threat to his mental health, to his emotional well-being. Imagine what all that, like the cortisol, the nerve chemical that's washing around his body, he's going to be attacking every cell as well. So those are all threats to his physical well-being as well. Okay, so that's where my mind goes. But at any rate, you could plug in your wire. They could plug in your wire whenever they wanted to, Who's they? Is that the thought police again? They sounds pretty threatening, doesn't it? You had to live. Oh my goodness, that's like kind of an imperative. You have to. It's insistent, isn't it? Forceful, it's emphasized. You had to live, did live from habit that became instinct. So the idea that you're having to switch your natural behaviors, monitor your natural behaviors, guard and police your own behaviors all the time. In the assumption that every sound you made was overheard. Gosh, that every sound, that seems to be amplifying, magnifying this idea of threat to me, and accept in darkness. So that just that reprieve of when it's dark, every movement scrutinised. Now look at that choice of verb, scrutinised. Not just every moment watched, but actually scrutinised. If you scrutinise something, you're looking at it really, really closely. They can rewind, have a look at it again. What was he doing there? Was he writing something down that he shouldn't have been? That kind of level of scrutiny, really analysing and magnifying things. Right, so starts with the idea that you can't get rid of that voice babbling. That in itself is an annoyance, isn't it? It's annoying. The threat gets worse. In the middle, we learn about the thought police. And by the end, every movement scrutinised. So I know I can write a summary, an overview summary now. The other thing to do when you're writing up your answer here, I would add in some things like, here it keeps getting worse. So I would add, this is further emphasised with, the worry continues for him with, even more frightening for him in the next phrase is. So it's next, again, further emphasised. Those are the things that you need to help you get the structural marks. Okay, other than that, with these, you just do your how does the writer. Okay, so I'll do one with you. We're still babbling away. Let's go with that one. So I'm using the pattern that I've been taught to use. The phrase "was still babbling away" suggests that the telescreen, the volume on the telescreen was annoying. And then I'm going to put a full stop. I'm not going to deal with that one anymore. And then I'm going to put next. the language, and I'm going to go straight into my next piece of evidence. So I make a lot of them quick, because you've got maximum 10 minutes to write this up. 10 pieces of evidence, 10 minutes. They do not want you to spend 5 minutes on one piece of evidence. It's quite clear, isn't it? Okay, so go and spend your 10 minutes now. Put your phone timer on. Use the phrase that I've given you, the sentence stem, the phrase, long quote, suggest, idea 1, idea 2, and so on. You'll see it on your sheet. And can you, a couple of times, influencing the reader to, and then it's a verb, to understand that Winston's physical health would also be under threat from having so many negative emotions, for example. Okay, I am done. Hopefully in the next 10 minutes you will be done, and your teacher will get a brilliant package of these 4 questions from you, and they will be done in an absolutely fantastic way. Don't forget, if you struggle, you can always come back to the videos and let me know how it's gone for you. Okay, best of luck and see you guys soon. Keep safe.